Hi, I'm Jamie. This is Dead Dodge Garage, and this is Dale's Demon, which desperately needs a flywheel installed, so let's get into it. And by get into it, of course, I mean start by cleaning this horrible mess I made building a ramp truck. That was good times. Nice. I think that only took 35 minutes. That's pretty good for me. Why do you never clean your shop? Brother, I got stuff to do. I got jobs on jobs on jobs on jobs on jobs. But I do clean the shop. You know.
Oh, once every 100,000 years or so, when the sun does shine and the moon does glow and the grass does grow.
It's on the lift. The battery's disconnected, and I removed the air cleaner and popped the distributor cap off. Of course, when you angle the small block down to get the transmission off the back, it's pretty common for the distributor cap to crash into the firewall, and that would be bad. I think I have a spare MSD cap. I need to start packing my road parts supply. Just a little follow-up on the slight oil dribbling that was seen in the last video. This is a cork gasket, so it is not at all uncommon to have to go through and just snug up the bolts a little bit. You don't want to reef them tight. You could split the gasket and do all kinds of bad stuff. This is really hard to do through a phone camera with one hand. Anyway, just make sure they're all tight. Oh, I forgot I had to shim the starter out last time. I bet that won't be a problem anymore once we change this flywheel. Now, I will not be changing the clutch. That's a collection of used parts I put together. The pressure plate is a McLeod, or however you say that. It's off the garbage can Cuda. The disc from that clutch disintegrated into little pieces because the whole transmission was falling off, but the pressure plate was fine, so I'm running that and a random disc from Dale's collection. It works really well. Don't ask me to explain how or why, but it does. I do have a center force dual friction brand new in a box, but that's going in the Barracuda. I don't have time to break in another clutch, so anyway, hopefully this is fine. I mentioned in the last video that this thing needs a rear joint. Nice, I've got one on the shelf. Unfortunately, it's missing all of the hardware. Hey, here's your Mopar traction bar. Clamps on the front of the spring to lock that solid, and no clamps on the back so it can fan out. Step 1, remove drive shaft. Step 2, remove transmission. Well, I guess step 2 is actually remove shifter linkage and shifter. I usually just let it hang up in here. Shouldn't be any problem. Miraculously, my shift levers actually stayed tight this time, so I guess I did it right. I don't remember what kind of fluid I have in this transmission. It might be synchro mesh, and I might be swapping to ATF, you know, for quicker shifts and less resistance or whatever. You know, bolts work better when they're tight. Most of them even were. It actually needs both U-joints. Of course it does. If you hadn't noticed, this thing does actually have a drive shaft loop because race car. Cross members loose, shifters mostly ready to come off. Oh, I do need to get the speedo cable and the reverse light switch wiring. I may have to drop the exhaust, which I'll just tell you right now I don't want to do. But there might not be enough room to get the cross member out. We'll see. I unmounted the transmission mount and dropped the thing a little bit more, and by George, it fits out. Nice. I'm definitely bleeding inside my glove right now. Now, this doesn't always work, but in this case, with the transmission dropped a little bit, I was able to reach up and get the 2 bolts that hold the shifter to the shifter adapter bracket onto the transmission out. So it's just hanging there. Didn't have to remove the handle, pull the boot, anything like that. Sometimes you do have to pull the boot and get that top bolt. It kind of depends on how much floor they cut out when they installed the hump. Now it's just the 4 big bolts that hold the transmission onto the bell housing. I'm sure that'll be easy. Couldn't even get a one of them with that setup. Turns out solid motor mounts are a bit of a hindrance to this whole transmission removal thing. Hey, word to the wise on this one. Make sure you get your transmission to bell housing bolts tight. I mean, make sure you get all the bolts in your car tight, but these in particular, I've seen these come loose several times. Did you know that your 4-speed will shift like absolute garbage if it's like falling off? Well, it will, so keep that in mind. And past me obviously knew that too, judging by how tight these damn things are. Yeah, time to pull this thing out. I actually strapped it to the transmission jack, and did you know it'll roll over a few degrees and sit flat on the case like that? Well, it will. I never wanted a lift earlier in my life. That's probably because I can never remember to duck. Yeah, my head hurts. I can't really hold a camera and do this at the same time, but I've got this at the exact right height that it just kind of wiggles around. So I'm gonna wiggle it out And hopefully it'll come out far enough that I can drop it before it rams into this. So help me God if I hit my head again. Come on. Come on out. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, that's something. There we go. Oh no. Wait, is that gear oil or like grease? Moving on. The transmission jack is not tall enough to reach at full height, so it's got to be down like this. And it kind of sucks, if I'm honest. Oh, don't. Taking one of these iron 1-to-1 boxes to the head would be a great way to die. So try not to do that. Oh. We're out of the spline, so we're just on the pilot section now. But you still don't want to hang the weight of the transmission on your clutch disc. That would do bad stuff. Yes. Yes. Oh man. I've got a stopper in the back too, and it's ramming into the drive shaft loop. Oh, this is super dumb. Okay, well, to get it back in there, I've got to ram it against the cross member in the floor. So that's good to know. Okay. Ow! Everything is like this. Everything. Don't become a mechanic. It sucks. Okay. Did you know this is the original numbers 4-speed from this car? Well, it is. This one shifts way better than the piece of crap that was in it when I got it. Second gear is still, let's say, a little soft. What is this mess? Oh, cool. Yeah, so the input shaft seal is bad. I don't have time to get another one, so we'll just pretend it isn't. It doesn't leak that bad. Hopefully the clutch isn't covered in that. We'll find out. Oh, by the way, I didn't actually drain the fluid. I don't think I'm gonna. I think it's gonna stay right how it is. ATF will just leak out faster, so yeah. Wow. I just learned that the clutch is worn enough since I put this combination together that the throwout bearing is now resting on the clutch fingers, which of course is not correct. You're supposed to have free play that's supposed to be lifted up off of the clutch. That could be a problem. Of course, adjusting it is an absolute nightmare because A-bodies, 4 speeds, and headers do not belong together. Since I'm changing the flywheel anyway, there's a good chance the dimensions are going to be different, and I will have to reset the clutch adjustment no matter what. So that's fine, but I don't know, this is just surprising. I don't think I've even driven this car 1,000 miles with this engine and transmission combination. Change plans. I get to go do this whole other thing involving a Ford truck, Cummins diesel, a blown intercooler boot, and probably a roll of Gorilla Tape. Anyway, wish me luck, and we'll get back to this in like some hours, I hope. It's a Jeep thing. So many Jeep things today. Hashtag spotted. What do you know about having fun? I don't actually know what's wrong with this Cummins and this Ford thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the easy thing and hopefully that fixes it, but I guess we'll see. It's fine. It's only an hour from home. Yikes. What you know about hand priming a diesel fuel supply system? Tell you what I know, it's a little tiring for your hand. Sometime today. So fixed. It was like barely revving to 15 and then before. That's the great thing about mechanical diesels. If they've got fuel and no windows in the block, they're gonna run. Nice drive at least. Whee! Oh, it's hours later, and we've learned that with solid mounts, the distributor cap thing is a non-issue, but better safe than sorry. Don't worry about that, that's this whole other thing. Did I mention that these are like 5-year-old AMD bumpers and they're just kind of terrible? Good times. Clutch is out on the ground and thankfully not covered in oil. Now I'm pulling the flywheel. Strangely enough, I actually Loctited the bolts and they held really well. Notice I left the bell housing on there because I just can't be bothered. I believe I've located the problem. This weight has been like ground on. It's not as it was shipped, so yeah, special stuff. I was about to lose it because I couldn't find my 360 sandwich weight, but it's here. Oh, good. There's actually 2 of them. Come on. Let's talk flywheel options. This is a brand new, never run, really nice neutral balance fancy flywheel. I kind of need that for my upcoming 273 project, so I don't really want to use it for this. This is a really crappy, long abused 360 flywheel. You can tell it's a 360 flywheel because of all of these humongous offset drilled holes. These ones probably aren't for the 360 weight. Those are probably for neutral balancing. It's pretty common to find that kind of thing in flywheels like this too, although I don't see any on this one. All you need to turn a neutral balance flywheel into a 360 weighted flywheel is this sandwiched weight plate. This goes in behind the flywheel against the crank and gets bolted down between the two. It gives you the correct offset weight. The only thing that's a little weird is it does space the flywheel out, so you have to make sure your bolts are long enough and your clutch, whatever that thing's called, fork, throwout bearing. Everything's gonna have to be adjusted again. It took me a bit, but I finally realized there's a third option. Take that weight off and then sandwich that weight in there, and then I can reinstall that same flywheel and we'll be good to go. There you go. Notice it's labeled engine side. Can only be installed one way thanks to the offset bolt pattern, and it puts the weight roughly the same direction as this, although it's interesting that's offset slightly. I don't know what that's about. Well, it could be better, but it's all I have, so we're gonna call that good. The good news is I also can't find the blue Loctite. Remember that whole I scabbed this clutch together and it's perfectly fine, I'm gonna keep using it thing? About that. I noticed when I was taking it apart, the fingers have come out quite a bit, which means the clutch is worn significantly. And now I'm going to reinstall it. And I noticed there's almost no gap here. So I don't know what the deal is, because there's a good bit of life left on that clutch disc, but I'm concerned that there's not going to be enough clamp on this thing. And once I get some traction, it'll just blow the clutch to pieces, which would be bad. So maybe we are installing and breaking in a new clutch. By which, of course, I mean, you know, driving around the block a few times and then just doing burnouts and going to the drag strip. You can see on this fancy dual friction, the material sticks out much, much farther. I don't know, maybe that other one's still fine. I mean, I was just banging gears in it and it was doing okay, but now I'm concerned. They really, really want you to read the instructions. So they included all of them twice. So as you can see, this clutch is brand new, but it's been in this box for a while. Like maybe since 1991. It's been so long that on the registration form, which they still included at that time for some reason, instead of saying email, it says, if you would prefer to fax, which I really enjoy. All right, slamming the brakes. We're gonna use the center force clutch and we're gonna change to the shiny new flywheel because the center force clutch wants that anyway. And the one that's in there, frankly, doesn't look that great. I don't know why I thought this was still a good clutch. It's not. You know, I pretty much bought this 1/2-inch electric ratchet impacty thingy because it was cool looking. I've rarely found any jobs it can actually do, but it's coming good today. Oh yeah. Yep, it's a clutch. I'm trying to get this roughly eyeballed before I stab the transmission back in the way. So interesting. These 833s often puke from like everywhere. Side cover gaskets, the O-rings there. This one doesn't leak from anywhere except for the one place you really don't want it to. Anyway, I cleaned it up. I'm gonna lightly grease that and reinstall it. Yeah, glad I didn't film reinstallation because it sucked. It didn't want to spline in, of course. Turns out I didn't have it anywhere near high enough. Classic blunder. Anyway, I did go and find my broken 727 yoke, jam that in there, put the thing in reverse, and then played with the shaft there a little bit. And then I lifted it up a bunch more, and then it popped right in. Hey, when you're reassembling something, try to put it together the way you took it apart, but backwards. Anyway, I barely got the cross member back in there. Would you stop? I know I said to make sure you tighten everything, so that should probably cover it, but really, definitely make sure you torque your shift lever nuts. They've come loose on this car many times. This time they didn't, so that's good. I guess I'm getting better at it. Yeah, I totally forgot when we first got this thing running with the new engine, the starter dragged on the flywheel. So I spaced it out with these washers. Looking at the way this is now with the new flywheel and the spacer sandwich plate in there, I could definitely take the washers out, but I don't want to. So hopefully the starter still works. We'll find out soon enough. All right, now we just need a drive shaft. Well, it's 8 o'clock, which I guess means I'm probably done for the night. I was that close, but I still need to knock the joints in. Yeah, in case you were wondering, transmission's full. Ugh, gear oil smell. Cheesecake. Have you noticed that my fingers just look like this now? It's great. The forbidden berries. It's Dead Dodge Garage After Hours edition. Let's do the stuff. Well, sure wish I hadn't found that. That would have been great. Now, what's crazy about that is this clip just fell out by hand. And yet somehow it's been holding together all this time. No idea. Anyway, I'm gonna knock this joint out and probably stake the hole in there. Oh yeah, here's how I change U-joints. I've got a special pair of sockets, well beaten, as you can see. One of them catches the cap on the one side, and the horribly mangled 17 mil half drive impact socket drives the cap through on this side. Nice. Of course, these smaller joints, you have to knock both directions. You can't just slide the cross out of there. With bigger truck joints, you can. A little easier. It does help to line up the socket. Almost. It's hitting the circ. There you go. And repeat. Oh, before you go to remove those clips, always tap on each cap. It'll help free them up. Thank me later. Nice. Oh, come on. That might have been just that joint. It's all goofy. These caps seem like they're going to be a nice tight fit in there, so let's just give that a shot, I guess. When you're installing the one for the yoke here, I always put it in the drive shaft first. That way it's held in place by the drive shaft. Trying to work with this and reattach it, a little more annoying. So, pick one cap, put it on the bottom, like so. Take the cross, put the side without a zerk up into the shaft like so. Work it around, pop it down into that cap carefully, and then take your hammer. Do that carefully. You could also do this with the correct clamp tool, or a vise, or a press, but I like the hammer. Then, once that cap is at least mostly installed, lift your cross up, say halfway out of it, being very careful not to knock any of the roller bearings out. Take the top cap, start it on here. You'll know that the cross is in both and the roller bearings are all in place, and then hit that with a hammer. Nice. Oh, I'm using my brass hammer because it's literally the only one left in the shop right now. Clip one clip. Oh, yeah, nice. One clip. See, those actually have some tension. There you go. See how it's tight now? Fixed. Second clip. Yep, done. Now do the same thing for the yoke. Would be a good idea to knock all the nasty old grease off. Cap in. Joint cross in. Drop in roller bearings. Now here's the moment of truth. This should be a tight fit. Shouldn't just fall in there. Yep, it's good. That joint was just total garbage. Nice. Same. We are golden. Clip. Yep, almost. Yeah, sure. Then you just want to pump some grease into those zerk fittings and install it. Drive shaft installed and no longer rattly and horrible, which is great. Couple more things I want to do on the front end here before I put the thing back on the ground and test it. First, it's time to remove the tow bar attachments. Thankfully, Mother Nature is already removing this one for me. I guess the spray was wasted. They go through the frame. Oh, that's cool. So I can get to that, but then there are these two random bolts, and I have no idea how any of that works. And for some reason, one on each side is 12 point. I remember this now. I tried to figure it out quite some time ago. They're Allen heads. They're also rusted solid. And you know what that means. Time to enter the crazy world of Arthur Brown. Oh, also, I really appreciate everybody that appreciates that reference. It's a good one. Oh, yes. While I'm heating that up, I'll show you as well. I've removed the nuts for the upper bump stops there, the droop stops, or whatever the heck you want to call them. Anyway, when this thing goes back on the ground, those will probably just fall out. That'll allow the upper control arm to droop out just a little bit further for better weight transfer. Is it rust or is it fire sauce Loctite? I don't know. Hopefully this is gonna work eventually. Yep, fire worked. Fire always works. Yay! Not yay! Well, that sucked, but it's off. Aw, now it looks naked. I'm pretty sure that those tow bar hookup thingies weigh as much as the sway bar. Of course, I'm gonna save them and all the hardware and what have you, because that's just how we roll on this deal. All right, that's funny. Didn't even notice. The rubber's gone off the passenger side one. Nifty. I did nudge up the torsion bars a little bit. Need to drive it and let the suspension settle and figure out what we've actually got. It probably won't be that much taller. Not like it looks right now. Okay, it's like almost 10 o'clock. But I gotta know, does it vibrate? Is it fixed? What's it like to drive? We're not gonna go like rip on it or anything. Remember, we're now breaking in a new clutch. Yay, but we gotta test it. When I slammed the hood, the frogs went silent. Creepy. It would be really funny if it just like didn't start, huh? Well, it doesn't vibrate, so that's good. Why is that lifter still clacking? Wow, center force clutch is light. Huh. Yeah, I think I need to tighten the push rod a little bit. This is interesting though. No noise going into reverse. So it's definitely fully disengaging. Wow. It doesn't creak anymore. I don't know why it doesn't creak anymore. The pedal feels so light. Wow. Oh, this is so much nicer, not vibrating. Don't worry about the gauge lights, they're just kind of like that. When I clutch in, they brighten. It used to be backwards of that. Oh, this is good. Way better. But that tappet has not quieted down. It's always been there on startup, but it's never hung around forever like that. Pay attention to that, that might be important. Oh, it just sounds so much happier though. The shifter feels lighter. I don't know how to explain that, but it just like shifts like butter. Fourth gear is completely worthless in town. I think I've mentioned that before. This was a used big mother thumper cam that Dale ran into the 340 briefly. He said it was way too big and he ripped it out. Oh, I apologize for the fact that you can't see anything, but it is what it is. Still need to roll that quarter. You'll notice I did not 100 normal street miles in with that before I can really drive it and launch it hard. That's not gonna happen. I'll just spoil the surprise now, but I will try. You know, I realized something the other day. When I get to this spot, I always turn around in this chunk of gravel. What do you think that does to the tires? Well, it covers them in gravel, of course. So maybe don't do that. This is so weird. It just pops right in gear now. It's totally different. Oh yeah, don't do that. I forgot. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, the vibration's fixed. This thing is happy now. You can hear how sticky these tires get. I actually ordered new ones today. Seemed like a good idea. I checked the date code, 2010. Nice. Anyway, there you go. The biggest problem I've had with the car ever since installing the 360, fixed. And that's great. Still need to fix the rattling pedal. That's very annoying. Anyway, I think we all learned a lot. Something about proper balance weights and I don't know, other stuff. I think I need to check the toe now. Let's see what the ride height looks like. I think my reverse switch wire fell off. That happened last time I put the car together, but I fixed it, and it's been good ever since. Oh well. Tick's gone now. Just 3 turns on that bar, and a turn and a half on that bar. Look at where the tires are sitting. That's bad. I'm probably gonna have to go back down. I did take weight off the nose, but not that much. Probably like 25, 30 pounds. We've got a transmission and flywheel and clutch and all that sort of stuff that works and does what it's supposed to. I'm very happy with that. So that's pretty much the meat of this video. But before I let you go, I do have a couple other notes. I've been asked by several different people, how many horsepower does the 360 make? And the answer is, I truly have no idea. I can guess more than 300, but probably less than 400. Remember, this engine is like home-built budget junk with used parts, home-ported heads. I did the 3-angle valve job, port-matched intake, block heat crossover. You know, I mean, there are a bunch of nice little things done, but it's not gonna turn the earth. It's just a healthy 360, that's all it is. I have never built any engine to a horsepower number. Never have. Maybe someday, but I don't know. I just did the stuff and kind of eyeballed the combination, and as you can hear, it works pretty well. So yeah, the amount of horsepower it makes is enough. The challenge here is getting that power through these wheels to the ground and getting the car to roll out from the starting line. I think we're getting there. Now earlier when I was reinstalling the transmission, I got a random phone call from an unknown Tennessee number. The grisly voice on the other side of the line said, "You need to change your oil pan. Your motor's gonna blow up." No idea what that was about, but I think the random voice has a good point. So I'm gonna change the oil pan. I'm pretty sure I have like a nice Milodon deep sump somewhere. I don't know. We might be making an oil pan. We'll find out. And then there's the other thing people keep asking me. What does the Demon weigh? I don't know, and I'm very curious, so let's find out. Easy. Okay. Yeah, 3,200 pounds. That's about what I figured. Of course, you can see we're like 45 pounds heavier there on the front left corner. That would be thanks to the battery, which, you know, I did briefly consider sticking in the trunk, but then you have to have an external cutoff and I'd have to run cables, and I just don't want to do any of that, so yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so the thing you have to understand about this scale set is that it's total garbage. As this thing warms up, the measurements change a little bit, but they stop dancing around so much too, so yeah, this is probably closer to right, 3224. You might be scheming ways for me to get weight off the front of this thing right now. Chill. Stop it. It's okay. This is one of those it is what it is deals. Remember, this is a beautiful museum-worthy antique. It's not a real race car. It's gonna be fine. This is what we're working with. 3,200 something, whatever it is. Friggin' scales. Holy crap, I'm stupid sometimes. Did you hear how well this thing ran? Ran pretty good. That is not the first time I've done that. On this car, because of the stupid screws. Anyway, listen, I bet it'll run even better with the distributor cap attached. This is why you don't stay in the shop till after 10. Nothing good happens. So yeah, I think that'll do it for this installment. Next time, Freddy gets a bar mitzvah. Also, oil pan stuff. Until then, as ever, thank you very much for watching. And remember, the difference between a violin and a fiddle is it's okay to spill beer on a fiddle. Okay. Oh yeah, and I burned my wrist. But the good news is the reverse lights work again.